At 7 p.m. Dr. McGee, roll call, please.
Chairman Bourget.
Here.
Vice Chair Burke.
Here.
Mrs. Kepiscus. Mr. Leclerc.
Here.
Would you please stand with me for a moment of silence in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight we have a special presentation from the Woonsocket High School Band Chorus, and I'll turn it over to you. Oh, cool. Please.
Is it on? All right. Thank you, guys. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was awesome.
These four guys played this down back in March at the Rhode Island Artificial Arts Society Festival at URI. They got a superior rating.
Cool.
So highly intriguing. Some cool toys that they have to use. I will say that these guys have been really busy lately. Monday we played for the Rhode Island Kids.
Yeah, that was
Yes,
great.
we were there.
That was fantastic.
Still awaiting the photos from Senator Reed and Senator Whitehouse's office. And then earlier today, they played with the jazz band for the CCF end of year showcase at the high school.
Oh, that was today.
And of course, the next week, Thursday, we have our big end of year concert, the garage concert.
Yeah, we can't. Oh, we won't go.
So without further ado, this is exciting. I got one.
Louder the better.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you.
Outstanding. Now we'll go into public comment. For anyone addressing the school board this evening, please begin with your name and address. Your comments shall be no more than 5 minutes of speaking time and should be in good decorum. Please be aware that the committee cannot respond to you during good and welfare, but may direct you to an appropriate member of the administration team or may meet with you directly after the meeting for further discussion. So, Mr. Vice Chair Burke, I guess you're up.
Once again, I'm here with a different attitude of a community member here that has an election night and I want to remind families and students about the annual Youth Appreciation Field Day, which is this Saturday, May 11th, at the Elks facility, parking lot in the grounds of the Elks on Social Street. It's a free event. Children under 12, free lunch. We have activities, we have games, we have food and drinks for other people to buy, and we have a bouncy house. So if you're able to come, come after the event without fear, then we go to the street market in the afternoon. We can have a great day. We have the house there in the morning, and then come over to the annual Youth Appreciation Field Day. Thank you very much. We'll see you then.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the school committee this evening? Please state your name and your address for the record. Hi. Excuse me, could you bring the mic lower, please? Thank you, thank you.
It should happen because it is a federal law. But he did only give me a time frame of 20 minutes during my time. And it's one of my remind you guys that I'm at and in this district, I have been, offered to come in the classroom, to be involved in education, something that I have been involved in. It is it's hard to make a clear decision on things that I cannot see. I think that with a whole list of things and concerns that I have to observe here in this classroom, I think that have as long as 20 minutes. I did get my DCI, I did everything that I was supposed to do. And I guess I'm waiting for the lawyers to make something out for me to sign. It's been a little long, we waiting for this. So I'm hoping that you would think that I will be but at least the time frame is that I also qualifications, the education, and any licenses that teachers have. Now I did that, and I did receive some of the qualifications.
Maybe.
It was a little concerning to me, a lot of them don't have an educational background, for a classroom like that. It brings got me attention, and said it was okay. One of the teachers graduated from the training school when I was 11, and that was her qualification. I am still waiting, it has been 10 days, months, they had, they need 10 days to get back to me. It's been past the 10 days mark, but I'm waiting for the qualification position. Make sure that I'm qualified with the many concerns that I have had. Been hurt several times, and several times. I've lived a lot. That, and I hope they're impressed, I hope that after speaking here, I will not have to take my next level of things, I'm not that, speaker, proud speaker, but I'm afraid I have to take my son. Now, I make sure that I can advocate into
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the school committee? Seeing and hearing none, we'll go into recognitions and announcements. Dr. McGee?
Thank you, Chairman, members of the school committee. Let me start by thanking our amazing percussion group from Woonsocket High School in Addison for their performance this evening, and band teacher, Mr. Mudrak. They did a wonderful job here this evening, and we're really proud of their performances. I'm going to begin my remarks honoring a young man who's here this evening. Woonsocket High School senior Adam Beaudry has been a part of the Woonsocket High School track and field team for the past 3 years. Adam's coach has said that Adam has displayed a tremendous amount of leadership as an athlete on the team, whether at daily practices, at all levels of competition, or volunteering at track and field meets when not personally competing. Adam is someone his teammates look up to. He's a true role model to them. Adam is currently a top 10 nationally ranked weight thrower and top 18 hammer thrower. He's also received a Division I athletic and academic scholarship to George Mason University, where he will continue his studies in the fall of 2024. Academically, Adam is currently enrolled in AP and honors courses at the high school and is currently amongst the top of his senior graduating class this year. His accomplishments, all the while still being a mentor, a peer mentor, and working on other projects within the school community. Most recently, Adam became an Eagle Scout. I want to congratulate, on behalf of the Woonsocket Education Department, I want to congratulate Adam and wish him all the best for continued success in the future. I'm sure, as you just heard, Adam is going to make a mark in this world in years to come. So congratulations, Adam, and congratulations to your family. Recently, the Woonsocket High School Theater Arts Department held their performance of Disney's Beauty and the Beast musical. I want to congratulate Mrs. Maiello, Woonsocket High School Theater Arts teacher, and her amazingly talented students for yet another memorable performance. They outdid themselves before a packed crowd on each of the 3 nights, and I think all of us here were able to attend, and again, they just tremendous. Broadway is right here in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. So congratulations to them on a wonderful performance again. This week is National Teacher Appreciation Week. Each year during the first full week in May, communities across the country take time to celebrate and honor their teachers and educators, acknowledging the crucial role that they play in the lives of their students and their families. Teachers are the backbone of our society, and teaching is the noblest profession. Moreover, teachers play a critical role in educating and shaping our children into future leaders of society. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize all of our caring, dedicated, and compassionate teachers and educators in the Woonsocket Education Department who support our children and guide them in positive directions. Speaking of the high school band and the collage concert, Woonsocket High School collage concert is scheduled for Thursday, May 16th from 7 to 9 p.m. at the high school auditorium. Looking forward to that performance. Connecting for Children and Families after school program at Woonsocket High School hosted their year-end celebration today from 3:30 to 5. There were special performances from the Woonsocket High School Jazz Band, student displays from the different programs that CCF offers, and they even had bingo with prizes and giveaways. A great time was had by all. Thank you again to another wonderful year with Connecting for Children and Families. This year, Woonsocket Local Civics Day is scheduled for Tuesday, May 14th, right here in Hamlet Cafeteria from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Generation Citizen partners with middle and high schools to implement a project-based civics curriculum that engages students in their own communities. Through hands-on civic education, legislative advocacy, and coalition building, and youth leadership development, we teach young people how to have a voice and become active citizens in their community. Civics Day gives students the opportunity to present their community-based experiential civics projects to peers, community members, and local leaders. Similar to the Rhode Island State Civics Day, visitors will be able to freely move about the cafeteria, stop at project boards, and engage in conversation with student representatives about their Action Civics experience during the semester. There will be a rolling slideshow presentation that will be playing in the cafeteria during this event. And just as an aside, I think we've all attended that event each year in the past, and it's wonderful. This is a great opportunity for our students to be actively engaged in their community and learn how to advocate through their projects for themselves and for this community. So I'm looking forward to that. Woonsocket High School Transition Program is holding their 5th annual bingo fundraiser on Saturday, May 11th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the St. Anne's Arts and Cultural Center here in Woonsocket. Admission is $35 per person, which includes an Italian pasta buffet and 15 games of bingo. Who doesn't want to play 15 games of bingo, right? There will also be other raffles and concessions. Our students work hard at their unpaid internships within our community and deserve a fantastic reward trip. This fundraiser will help the students meet their goal, which is to explore the New England Aquarium and whale watch. For further ticket information, please contact the Woonsocket High School. Lastly, the Mental Health Resource Fun Run and Fair is scheduled for this Saturday, May 11th, right here at Hamlet Middle School on the grounds from 10 a.m. to noon. The district will also have kindergarten registration on site, so if there are any parents out there who have not registered their children for kindergarten for the 24-25 school year, they'll have the opportunity to do that on Saturday. Some of the outdoor activities will include a fun run, 100-yard dash, touch-a-truck, an obstacle course, and the Warriors football here in Woonsocket will hold a skills clinic. Some of the indoor activities will include over 20 mental and behavioral health agencies and after-school programs that we work with here in the city. There'll be face painting, arts and crafts, and other activities and special gifts. Free barbecue lunch will be provided. Last year, we had over 300 families in attendance, and we hope to break that record this year, and it will be held rain or shine. With that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my recognitions and announcements.
Thank you, Dr. McGee. Anyone want to make comments or questions? Then I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the recognitions and announcements. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, we'll go to the approval of minutes, and I'll make a motion to approve the April 24, 2024 open meeting minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc and Vice Chair Burke. Any corrections, deletions to the minutes? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke.
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus. Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Burke. Does anyone have any item that they want pulled out? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke.
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, we'll go into communications, and I'll ask our student representative, Matthew Cuson, to give us his report. And if you want to do it in the voice of Lumiere, please, don't hesitate at all.
Unfortunately, I think that voice has left my brain after doing it for 3 nights in a row. But I haven't been here for a while, so a lot has happened at the high school, but I'm going to try and focus on some of the more prominent topics that I see fit. So first up, as you may know, Dr. McGee started his superintendent's focus group with select students that has been meeting with him and Mr. Ernest weekly to discuss relevant topics or issues in the school. For example, recently we've been talking about different ways to remediate this distraction of phones in the classroom. And one general solution we discussed was having better consistency throughout the school in terms of expectations, etc. Overall, students in the group think that having this group and an open discussion is a great move towards increasing student involvement and input. Last week, the Woonsocket High School school resource officers gave a presentation to each grade level on the basics of the ALICE program. Essentially, we got an overview of helpful responses to utilize during the event of an active shooter, which includes alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. Other students agree that while it is a sad reality that we have to learn these things, overall, the presentation provided good and necessary information to us. Also last week, the band and chorus competed at the Great East Festival, and both chorus and band scored gold on their performances. There are so many dedicated members in the arts departments, so congratulations to all of them. Other than that, upcoming juniors and seniors look forward to prom this Friday, and sophomores and freshmen looking forward to semi-formal on Saturday. That concludes my report. I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Matthew. We'll make a motion for your report. So I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the student representative report. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Burke. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Dr. McGee?
Chairman. So this, before I get to the introduction of our new Woonsocket High School student representative to the Woonsocket School Committee, I just want to recognize our first ever Woonsocket High School, Woonsocket School Committee student representative. I got to tell you, when the school committee first talked about creating this role, you know, we'd never done it here before in Woonsocket. Other communities have student representatives. You know, I'll be honest, I didn't really know exactly where this was going to go. But I've had an opportunity to get to know Matthew for at least this year. And if somebody would have told me when we first came up with the idea that we would have someone with the character qualities, the leadership qualities, just the incredible qualities of Matthew Cuson, I would have said, I'll take him in a second. And Matthew, it has been an honor and a pleasure to work with you this year. And as a token of my and the school committees and really the community's appreciation, we have some hardware for you here. So if you wouldn't mind, Matthew, let me read it first before you come up and accept it. So this says 2023-24 Woonsocket School Committee Student Representative Matthew Cuson, thank you for your dedication to the Woonsocket Education Department. So Matthew, if you want to come up and accept that.
got a bag of goods.
It's the right colors. Yeah. Oh, it is.
Thank
huh?
you.
The crimson. I think mom and dad should come up here too.
Me too.
Oh,
Yeah,
there we
there they
go.
go.
Maybe.
Oh.
Yes.
Definitely. And you.
Get in the middle. Get over here. Next to him.
Look at that.
There we go. Big smiles.
Say Harvard.
Congratulations, Matt.
So those are going to be some big shoes to fill. But we have an upcoming senior who I am sure is going to fill those shoes. So I would, it's my pleasure to announce this evening the introduction of our new school committee student representative for the 2024-25 school year. It's Leiliani Sanchez. Congratulations, Leilani. So Leilani is going to, I think she's going to be attending some of the next few meetings, I think, to get a sense of sort of what the school committee meeting looks like and just to get a feel for it. So we're looking forward to, and in fact, Leilani is a part of the group that Matthew was talking about that has been meeting with Mr. Ernest and myself every other week from the high school. So looking forward to working with you, and congratulations.
Yes, welcome.
Great.
Then I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the communications. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Dr. McGee, would you give us your report?
Sure. So the committee has the personnel list here. There hasn't been a lot of movement or any positions for this school year. What we're really focusing on now, and which we have been focusing on for a few weeks now, are our summer positions for the summer programming that we'll be providing students this summer. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to try to answer them.
Anyone? Then I'll make a motion to receive the superintendent's report. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Burke. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we'll go into the subcommittee reports. Mrs. Kepiscus, would you give us the CLAC update?
I'm too short for this. I'd be happy to, Mr. Chair. The CLAC met on Thursday, May 2nd at 6 p.m. virtually. Meeting was called to order at 6:05. There were only 7 attendees, and there were no parents present, sadly. Under old business, I made my usual plea for someone to step up as a replacement leader for the CLAC, but nobody has volunteered as of yet, so I remain the acting chair as of right now. Under new business, we discussed 2 statutes. One is Rhode Island General Law 1624-19, which addresses LACs, local advisory committees in particular, and it's intended to force districts to support LACs and to develop LACs where they're not active. It's kind of irrelevant to Woonsocket. We do have an active LAC. We just don't have anybody who comes to my meetings. Hint, hint. There's also a House bill pending, House Bill 7721, which is unfortunately the same IEP proposal that was submitted last year, which didn't go anywhere. It's probably not going to go anywhere this year. It's held for further consideration. But essentially what it's designed to do, which is what it should be doing, is districts would be required to provide information to parents well in advance of a meeting. So you're not walking into a meeting and being handed at an IEP meeting a stack of evaluations for you to read and interpret right then and there. They're essentially written in a foreign language that I call educationese. And I really think that this would be an excellent law to pass, but they're never going to pass it. At least I don't think it's going to pass this year. Held for further consideration is usually a death knell. And that's very unfortunate, and I feel a disservice to the students in the districts in the state of Rhode Island that are receiving special education services, because they all talk about parent and family involvement. You're going to talk the talk, do the walk too. For the superintendent's report, Dr. McGee discovered backgrounds on Google Meets and entertained us with his experimentation, showing us a spaceship, New Orleans, a haunted mansion, and a tea room, while Dr. Holt entertained us with her Japanese tea room as well. Special Education Director's report, Ms. Morrell reported out the numbers for the high school with IEP, students with the IEPs, graduation rate down, dropout rate up, mainly for non-attendees who's aged out, and the engagement 1 year post-graduation up. And early childhood students in terms of social emotional development, communication, and appropriate behaviors with similarly mixed results with some progress. School committee liaison, me, advised as to the dates of upcoming school committee, policy subcommittee, and curriculum subcommittee meetings. There were no other attendees to make any comments. The decision was made to cancel the next scheduled CLAC meeting, which is on June 6th, as it is the evening before graduation. And it wouldn't be well attended no matter what. Ms. Morrell advised that the school support visit report out will occur at the September meeting for the CLAC, but it will roll out onto the state's website sometime in late June for those who are interested. The meeting was adjourned at 6:23 p.m. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Any questions? Thank you very much, Mrs. Kepiscus. I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the CLAC update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Burke. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, I'll ask you, Mrs. Kepiscus and Vice Chair Burke, to give us the policy subcommittee update.
I'll defer. Thank you.
He defers.
Policy Subcommittee met this past Monday, May 6th, at 4 p.m. Meeting was called to order at 4:05. After approving the minutes of our prior meeting, which was in February of 2024, we made a discussion of an approval to rescind the P8 series of the current school committee policy manual. All were advised by legal counsel Sarah Rapport that all the policies in this section have either been supplanted or superseded by new policies or new law. One policy will need to be addressed, and that policy addresses parental access to school buildings for observation purposes, as referred to in our parent involvement policy and as required by Title I. That policy is being worked on right now. Upon my motion and Dr. McGee's second, all voted in favor of the P8 series of the current policy manual being rescinded, and that is on your agenda as new business tonight. We then moved on to a discussion of the integrated pest management policy. Our prior policy had been retained as part of our prior rescinded policies because state law requires that we have a policy for this. The new policy would replace that former policy, which can now be rescinded. After much discussion of whether or not the word microorganisms included mold, and reviewing the statute, which does not include a definition of the word pest, the school committee decided to amend the draft policy to remove that definition from the policy, especially in light of the fact that state law seems far more concerned with issues relating to the pesticides used in schools as opposed to what constitutes a pest for the use of pesticides. However, all voted in favor of pushing this policy forward to the full school committee, but it is not on tonight's agenda because of open meeting Act time limits. It could not be advertised in time to be on our meeting for tonight, so it will be on our next scheduled school committee meeting, May 28th, for approval, as will be rescission of section P7-3.7, which was our prior integrated pest management policy from the former P7 series that we had to retain as previously stated. Then moved on to a discussion of our student attendance policy. In light of the state's focus this year on attendance in schools, the subcommittee reviewed our student attendance policy, as the current policy includes disciplinary measures which are no longer applicable or permissible to address this issue. And some of our disciplinary measures actually violate current state law regarding suspensions. Among issues discussed were: A, at what age does attendance become compulsory? Age 6, for those of you who are interested. I didn't know. B, what constitutes a tardy? C, how late a student must be to be considered tardy for either the day or a specific class. Current policy lists 15 minutes, but doesn't consider block scheduling, as it was adopted when we had a 7-period day, excuse me. D, whether loss of privileges should include loss of recess. It should not, but this should be clarified, as we're only talking about extracurricular privileges. E, how to define excused versus unexcused absence, where the state law does not set out parameters and leaves it to the district. Yet RIDE requires absences to be reported in a certain way, which does not track with excused or unexcused policies. It was suggested that we make the definitions reflect what excused and unexcused might mean, but not limiting them to only those instances. F, remedial measures for unexcused absences, which will be called consequences as opposed to disciplinary action under the current state law and regulations. As a result of all these discussions, the policy is being held for further amendment and discussion at our next policy subcommittee meeting. Then we moved on to a discussion of our substitute hiring policy. A significant discussion occurred between legal counsel Sarah Rapport and HR director Sharon Kitchen over the use of the term reasonable assurance in the policy as drafted. Subcommittee was informed that reasonable assurance is the district's promise that a hired sub would be brought back the following school year so that they cannot collect unemployment during periods when they are not called to work, example, summer. The HR director believes this language is required to avoid having to pay unemployment. Legal counsel is concerned that this language is inconsistent with the district's position that subs are hired at will, and as at-will employees, they can be terminated at any time for any legally permissible reason. Legal counsel will research this issue, and the policy is being held back in subcommittee to revisit this at our next subcommittee meeting. We then moved on to a discussion of the amendments to the electronic devices policy, which was touched upon in both the superintendent's report and in Matthew's student representative report. Dr. McGee is looking to expand our policy, which currently bans student use of cell phones and related electronic devices like earbuds and smartwatches, to include the removal of school phones from a student's possession throughout the school year, but by means of a locked pouch, commonly known as a yonder, or a secured containment device in a classroom. This was prompted by a survey undertaken by the Rhode Island Superintendents Association regarding how the various districts were handling this, as well as a discussion with this student group at the high school. They were discussing which districts had policies, which did not, and what those policies provided. This is just the beginning of the discussion, and the subcommittee is looking for input from its membership as to creative ideas to address the issue. By the way, devices which block cell signals in the building are illegal. That's already been considered and discussed. Policies which are review at future meetings. 2 items were added for our agenda. The first is a policy around parent guardian observations in our school buildings and the parameters for those observations. The second is the ongoing discussion of the electronic devices policy. The next subcommittee meeting will be on June 11th, 2024 at 4 p.m. In Hamlet 124. On that agenda will be student attendance policy, substitute hiring policy, changes to Title IX required by changes to the federal law taking effect August 1, 2024, and a revisit of the dress code policy after our last changes to it, which the policy subcommittee was not able to hear about prior to the changes being made. Meeting was adjourned at about 6:05 p.m. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Kepiscus. Do you have any sense as to when the electronic device policy will come before the committee?
We're still discussing the various options available. We have one. I just want to make sure that's clear to everyone. We currently have a policy. It just bans electronic devices in the schools. The real problem, and the problem has always been enforcement, which is what I tell staff and administration who come to the policy subcommittee meetings and say, we need to ban cell phones. And I say, we already have. 2016 But the problem is it's not uniformly enforced. And as Matthew reflected in his report, the problem is we need consistency. We need consistency in terms of teachers who are going to say, put the phone away or give it to me. Our policy currently provides that if a student is directed to put a phone away and they fail to do so, the teacher may take the phone for the balance of the day. And those consequences are cumulative with each additional offense. And as we discussed, students are usually willing to go along and hand over a phone or shut it off and put it in their backpack if they have a rapport with the teacher. It's when they don't have a rapport with the teacher where they're going to use that as a way to push back. So I don't know how we're going to solve it. We had a long discussion about yonder pouches, and I gave a long speech about all the problems connected with them, courtesy of my 22-year-old son, fresh out of high school, who said, let me tell you why that's not going to work. And the safes and also the expense of yonders, we're estimating at about $100,000, which is insane. For something that, in my opinion, isn't going to work, because an enterprising young student is going to find the master key that you can buy on Amazon for $12 and develop their own little cottage industry at the high school, charging everyone $3 to unlock their yonder pouch at lunch. That's my opinion. Enterprising students, but it's a problem. The safes in the room might be a good idea, but the concern has always been one student puts in their iPhone 15, another student puts in their flip phone, and that student that put in the flip phone walks out with the iPhone 15, and the person with the iPhone 15 is going to say, where'd my phone go? That's the problem. The problem is, how do you secure them, and how much instructional time do we want to, frankly, waste on redistributing those phones at the end of a school day, at the end of class? So there's a lot of things that have to be discussed. I do not anticipate you're going to see that much before the beginning of next calendar year, at the earliest, 2025 perhaps.
My goodness.
It's not going to be in the fall. There's just too many different parameters to discuss. And I looked at a whole bunch of districts, and there's not a whole lot of guidance out there. Some use safes, some use yonder pouches, and some just use the honor method, which is what we use.
Anyone else?
I know that's more than you wanted to know, but sorry.
No, I did want to know. Thank you. I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the policy subcommittee report. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Burke and Mr. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This afternoon, Mr. Leclerc and I attended the building committee, and I'll ask Ms. Notoriani to give us a summary of that meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the building committee met today at 5 p.m. here at Hamlet Middle School. The discussion centered around the next steps in the process for selecting the firm that will do the design build work. Our owner's project manager, Downs, outlined a timeline of between now and May 20th to provide for a process for selecting or recommending a contractor to the building committee, with a recommendation then going from the building committee to the full school committee. In addition to that, the owner's project manager alluded to potentially setting up community meetings towards the end of May, beginning of June, to be held at Coleman Elementary School, Globe Park Elementary School, and Vernon Heights Elementary School. And lastly on the agenda was just a brief update on the Cass Park planning for the new athletic complex, and we heard some information from Council President Ward on that. And that concluded the meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Notoriani. I know at that meeting, we discussed that the school committee and the city council will have a joint meeting on May 30th to discuss budget and the Cass Park project and other items. So we will be meeting on May 30th. And this will be after the May 22nd school committee meeting, where we will be discussing at length our contractors, et cetera. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chairman.
Any questions, comments?
Good.
I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the building committee update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, I'll ask you, Mr. Notariani, to give us the technology facilities update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this evening, you have before you a memo that outlines, as of today, the technology department currently has 26 work orders in the system. They continue to resolve the issues as quickly as possible. We're expecting by the middle of May, so by about next week, I'm hoping to be down to under 10. They're slowly whittling the numbers down as the end of the year approaches. Our technicians are providing support for vendor year activities along with state assessments. And then they're going to be focusing on their summer programming. The data staff continue to provide support for our systems and applications, specifically state assessment, things that come in, along with any user accounts. They're also looking to assist with the initial stages of the scheduling for the next school year, as registrations are coming in and students will be promoted up to the next grade level. In addition to that, they're getting ready for the year-end processes that will facilitate state reporting. As of today, I received word from registration that we are at approximately 145 kindergarten registrations, which according to our registration secretary, is slightly higher than we were at last year at this time. So that's a positive sign in terms of where we're at. Facilities Custodial Services presently has 221 work orders in the system. Approximately 1/3 of the 141 work orders are, I'm sorry, that's a mistype on my part. 141 work orders are assigned to internal staff, and they could be at various states of either making repairs or waiting for parts to arrive. The remaining work orders are assigned to outside contractor vendors, such as a plumber, HVAC technicians, or contractors. So I do not have a transportation update this evening, nor do I have a safety and security update. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Notoriani. Any comments, questions? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the technology facilities update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We have no unfinished business. We have one item in new business, and I'll make a motion to discuss and approve to rescind P8 series in the school committee policy manual. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Burke. Mrs. Kepiscus, do you want to address this?
I think I've already bored you silly on that.
Bored me silly.
It's essentially policies that have either been superseded or supplanted by new policies we've enacted over the years. For the 6 years I've been on, we've been hammering away at the policy, trying to chip away and get rid of the old stuff, in with the new, and try to make it more organized. This is just part of that work. None of that is anything we have to preserve. It's all been replaced or it's all outdated.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Seeing no further items on our agenda, I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:51 PM. Do we have a second?
Second.
You people want to stay here all night?
All right,
Second by Mr. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.